So welcome. Today's my second of my third series of the Reclaim Energy, Joy, and Balance series. I'm excited to share. I've been giving these talks in the last couple years in different settings, and I just wanted to put them all together, in light of just all the stressors and the new restrictions in our lives from the last couple years. So today's talk is on 3 tips that directly reduce your stress and help you restore hope. So first, as always, I invite all of you, anytime we enter a new talk, a new environment, a new Zoom meeting, always think about the A, B's, and C's. Take a moment and bring your attention to your breath and your body for a moment. Notice for any tension on your shoulders. Notice for any tensions in your chin or your jaw or your eyes. Close them for a moment. Our eyes are always in front of a screen. Simply just close it for 30 seconds. And breathe, right? Feel the air coming into your chest and your lungs. And take a moment and connect. C for connect. Connect with that breath and body and simply ask yourself, what does it need to adjust so that it feels more natural and comfortable? So A, B's, and C's. All right, so first of all, checking in a little bit, how many of you feel, maybe you type in, yes or a Y. How many of you feel that in the last couple years, you've just been, things has just been different for you? You've been more tired than usual. You've actually just had different habits than you've used to, right? You've kind of fallen off the slide of needing more coffee, needing more, green tea in the morning just to get up, feeling foggy, like losing touch. Sometimes you forget who you calling when you pick up the phone. You walk in the room, you forgot why you're there. Where you put your keys, losing, getting some brain fog. Or how many of you are actually feeling, that COVID weight? It's hard to get rid of, over time. It's that 5 pounds and then another 5 pounds. And a lot of it is actually centered in the waist area. Or simply just feeling tired but not be able to sleep at night, or just easily woken up at night and then you can't go back to sleep. So again, you are not alone. Turns out 6 out of 7 Americans not refreshed. 36% of the workers force right now are tired, emotionally exhausted, and physically fatigued. Americans who are sleeping 8 hours a day, even when they wake up, a third of them still feel really tired. And, weight's becoming an issue. More than 2/3 of Americans are overweight, and half of those are actually now approaching being obese. And in the last 2 years, depression has increased drastically from 8% to 27%. And even just in the last year, it's gone up to even another 5%. Kids have doubled in numbers in depression in the last year. So these numbers are very, very concerning, and we're all really going towards burning out. So what I hope for you to get out of today is the top 3 tips that can get you into reversing that fatigue and burnout quickly, and how to be able to get the energy, the joy, and balance back first and foremost by reducing your stress. Well, first, who am I? I think some of you I've seem familiar on the attendance. I am a family doctor. I focus on helping busy women leaders, professionals, entrepreneurs reclaim your energy, joy, and confidence by rebooting your metabolism and mindset so that they're create more impact and freedom in your life. I do it through high performance coaching and functional medicine. But to share with you my story, because I think it is important to hear that we are very similar in that, a lot of people are very similar in the way we look for health is in the journey that brings us to what is we become purposeful and passionate about. But before I tell you, I want to first find out how many of you actually have had the experience of wanting to do something but couldn't because you're so stressed out, you're so tired, you have so much pain, or you're so anxious. Or for some women, it's because you have, female cycles that take you out a few days a month, and then you're, because of your mood or your cramps or your migraines. And as a result, you struggle with having more hobbies or more free time or patience with your family. Or as a result, you have to let go of opportunities to pursue a job or promotion. And as a result, your financial impact is affected. Well, that was me. I was limited by illness a lot when I was a kid and worse when I was in my 20s. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I was full of passion. I knew I wanted to be a doctor when I was 8 years old, but then I felt so much frustration throughout, especially in high school and college, when I'm in limbo because I would be sick for weeks at a time, right? For 6 months, I had to take time off college because of migraines, or that time I have severe IBS. And so I would practically bloat everything I eat. So I stayed home all the time and didn't really go out and be with friends and have adventures. At the time, Western medicine didn't really help me. Doctors couldn't tell me how to get rid of these symptoms or why I was sick, right? Taking lots of medicine, not only did they not work, but they gave me worse symptoms. The meds that were supposed to help my migraines made me numb and depressed. The steroids I took for asthma made me even worse and made me forgetful, actually. So I'm not sure if that's ever happened to you, but how often have you had normal labs, but your symptoms are told you're fine? Or you're given a diagnosis and treatment, but never told that how to reverse your issues. So nothing really worked, right? And so until I found functional medicine, it was, to me, a game changer. So functional medicine, as you see here, it's a systematic approach rather than separating your bodies into different parts. It looks at, all the areas, and it looks at the center and the trunk, where there's 6 key processes, right? We look at believing that the gut, the hormones, how the body get rid of toxins, how the cell makes energy, how the immune system responds and create inflammation, how the structure put us all together is intimately connected to all those individual systems in our body. So rather than looking at them separately, they're all connected. But most importantly, there's the foundation and the roots, which are deeply connected to our mindset, our community, our upbringing, our genetics, our food, our lifestyles, all of that's super important. So my doctor at the time, my functional doctor at the time, eliminated some food I was intolerant to, treated the underlying infection in my gut, cleaned up my diet, and ultimately my asthma, my headache, all my gut symptoms were gone even just within a few months. It was amazing, right? So not only since then, I feel full of energy. I no longer feel limited on how my body and my mind feels. So I started practicing functional medicine and I see amazing results. And of course, I combine it with my traditional Chinese medicine training and that my long time of, doing yoga practices and meditation. But after a while, what I notice is the people who I see a lot are perfectionists, type A, passionate women, passionate people, professionals, leaders. And turns out they would get better, but then the mindset would bring them back and they would burn out again. And then they would get healthy and they'd go off and they'd do something amazing and they burn out again. So that's how I also learned about high performance coaching. So now I work with women professionals, and in the last 7 years in corporate healthcare setting, in my private setting, I'm learning to put these models together, and it's not only helped me tremendously, it's also helped a lot of people I see. And as a result, my joy is to actually help women reclaim your energy, joy, and confidence. So what are you going to learn today, right? The 3 tips. So the first one is understanding how stress can affect your body and exactly what those triggers are, because some of them are hidden and not obvious. So first of all, I want you to take a moment and simply do a quick exercise. So relax your hand down, soften your shoulder, maybe even close your eyes just to help decrease the stimulants. I want you to take a moment and imagine yourself standing in front of a kitchen. And in front of this kitchen, there's a counter. And on the counter, there's a bowl of lemons, plump, big, juicy looking lemons. What I want you to do now is just in your mind's eye, take a lemon and bring it into your hand and feel the weight of this lemon in your hand. And almost just feel the skin, a little bit of that dimple of that skin, and hold it in your hand for a moment. Now I want you to maybe bring that lemon close to your nose and take a smell and see if you can imagine that smell through the skin. Now put that lemon down onto a chopping board, and I want you to pick up a knife, and here I want you to go ahead and slice this lemon into half and see that juiciness coming out, dripping off onto the chopping board. Now slice yourself a slice of lemon and take that lemon slice towards your nose, and I want you to once again smell it. What does it feel like? What do you smell? Now, even better, I want you to put that slice of lemon in your mouth and see how that feels. So how many of you can open your eyes now, feel that lemon juice in your mouth? How many of you started salivating? Maybe type in yes. Or how many of you feel yourself puckered in? Right? Yeah, so there's some of effect, right? But the true test of this is, the key insight is, there's actually no lemon, no kitchen, no knife, and all you're having is a true physiological response of your whole body responding to something completely imaginary. So what is really going on, right? Imagine that if that's a lemon that's pleasant, how many things else in our lives currently that could be triggering a physiological response in our body? So the first tip is actually understanding how stress affects your body. And I've kind of shared a lot in previous talks and stuff, so I'll go through this in a short way. But a big part of what stress is, it's just this natural response our body have to help us survive. And it's a very, very key mechanism called fight or flight. And it lives in a nerve called vagus nerve that controls what's called the autonomic nervous system. When our body actually goes through stress, it tells our brain to then go in and trigger this fight or flight so that we can get into the habit and bring all the blood flow to our chest, our lungs, so that we can breathe, so that we can run, so that we can get our muscles tightened up. But as a result, in surviving and running, we don't want to do anything else that are taking away energy. That involves bringing blood to the other organs, to our brain, or to our, to our bowels for digestion. As a result, all of those areas, when we're in distress, fight or flight, they don't function as well. That's why a lot of people say they are cold, their hands and feet are cold, because circulations are shunted away from their hands and feet and gone to their chest and lungs. And that's why sometimes people feel more of that chest tightness, people feel discomfort in the way they breathe, or maybe their heart rate goes up or their blood pressure goes up. So there's that distress. But what happens? What happens that is actually gone wrong along the way is that the long-term stress. For most animals, actually, they are very good at go back to that fight or flight, and then they release the moment that threat's gone. But a human's brain, we have a big executive function, a big frontal lobe that actually causes us to remember. And it helps us actually then start remembering, imagining, and we start remembering and holding on to that stress, and we actually don't turn off that stress. Another problem is we actually do not stop making stress in our lives. One of the hidden stress I'm going to talk about is stiffness. Over the last 2 years, how many of you, because of virtual learning or virtual meetings, you're in front of the light, you're in front of the computer, your body's stiff. So that stiffness creates a chronic inflammation and stress in your body, and your body's chronically experiencing this acute stress, and it just never goes away. So your body actually continuously deal with also, news, also discomfort, also new things are happening. And so we live in this chronic stress. So now what happened is we see that the long-term stress is being turned on, and we're not just using the fight or flight. We're going in and tapping into this hormone system through the adrenals and tapping into the cortisol system. And this cortisol system, turns out, the stress hormone, is super connected to all of these amazing hormone systems that is key for vitality. Insulin for your metabolism, for your sugars, how you use and store fuel, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone around fertility and vitality, thyroid for metabolism and making your body temperature and the body's way of actually processing energy. All of these are super important, and cortisol, when we're being overused, totally trigger all of those. And over time, what happens, this chronic stress through this mechanism start causing all of these problems. Exactly what I was mentioning early on. When the big stress in the last couple years, what it has done is actually causing us to have these long-term effects in our symptoms in our body and signs in our body. And that's why we're having trouble losing weight, trouble actually having more weight in the belly, because that's where cortisol likes to deposit its weight. And then difficulty sleeping and anxiety. So how many of you are feeling a little bit more connected, starting to really get that connection and seeing why? But what I want you to do right now, though, is to be able to actually clearly understand what are the stressors that are in our system that comes into us. So I think a lot of you probably right off the bat knows that emotional stress is a big one, right? I showed pictures of waiting in line, having to, right? Initially, when we first had COVID, we have to all wait in line in front of Costco or all the grocery stores. We are not, or getting gas, or there's just so many levels of unknown. It just creates trigger for our perceived stress. The second and the third and the fourth one here are more interesting. Turns out sleep and light disruptions is a big stressor to our body. We now know that actually the circadian rhythm, the melatonin, they're all really deeply related to our immune system. We needed that rest in order to actually help our body to fight infections, to rebuild ourselves. So when we actually are chronically looking at blue lights, we're chronically looking at light even when it's late at night and the sun is down, and we actually don't sleep very well, that's when that rhythm is off, it creates a lot of stress response to our body. Another one is blood sugar imbalance. When we actually have our blood sugar, there's a lot of people fasting right now, but then they're stressed, their adrenals are really stressed out, they're, depleted, and they might not actually have enough store. So their bodies actually goes into distress sometimes when they're inappropriately not eating enough. Or if they eat too much processed food, their blood sugar shoots up the sky, and their blood, because of the food, of the sugars they're eating or the refined carbs they're eating, that also creates a inflammation and distress to the body. Lastly, I talked a little bit about that stiffness, physical inflammation, but toxins, right? Pesticides, heavy metals exposures, and processed food, right? Food that are just of not whole foods or not natural, or having too little nutrients of certain things, all can cause inflammation and cause that stress in our body. Our body responds as a result with something called inflammation and create distress. So what can we do? And this is where I want to boil down to getting really physical and giving you the physical and experiential experience today for this. So the first one of the tips of understanding is learning that there is an antidote for stress. So what's the antidote for stress? The first one is actually long, deep breathing. Long, deep breathing, because when we actually take a nice, long, deep breath, it actually strengthens and it stretches this vagus nerve that lives right from the back of your neck, through your ears, through the throat, down to your chest and lung, and down to your diaphragm. So when you actually take these nice deep diaphragmatic breaths, it actually stretches your vagus nerve and remind the vagus nerve to activate the opposite of fight or flight, which is called parasympathetic nervous system. So what I want to do with you for the next few minutes, maybe for the next 5-6 minutes, is I want to walk you through a really nice long deep breathing exercise where not only do you actually feel it, but I'm going to actually explain to you during that time what is going on that activates this parasympathetic nervous system, so that you can really connect to this reversal of stress and be able to have the experience and tap into it more easily. Okay, so let's go ahead and have you take a moment here and sit in your chair. And maybe if it's comfortable, better, you can put a pillow behind your lower back, or if you can sit a little bit further out on the edge of your chair so you can feel that the pelvis curving comfortably and the belly soften. Relax your shoulders and tilt your chin slightly forward. And I'm going to put on some nice music for us. So now here I'd like you to consider closing your eyes, if you may, if it removes the external stimulation, or simply gaze downward and allow your breath to deepen. I want you to breathe in through your nose and out through your nose or your mouth. And when you breathe in, simply use the word soft. And when you breathe out, use the word belly in your mind, allowing your belly to be soft and relaxed. And I want you to relax a bit more with each breath. A simple meditation technique called concentrative meditation. It's 5,000 years old. And all it does is using the word soft and belly, concentrating on them and on the movement and the feeling of your belly. And if there's distractions or thoughts in your mind, simply just let it come and let it go. And it's correlated with how stressed you are, then more thoughts would tend to come out. And it's okay. It's part of that experience. Now, as you breathe in and out, notice your lungs filling up with air and down to the diaphragm, where more air goes to the bottom of your lungs, and you're inviting more oxygen exchange, allowing more oxygen to go to these little small sacs in your lungs called alveoli. And as a result, they go into the bloodstream, and they diffuse into all the little cells in your body. Keep breathing in and out, slowly and deeply. And now you're activating the vagus nerve. It wanders up and down the belly, the diaphragm, through the chest and lung, and the throat and our brain. And each time you stretch that breath, stretch the diaphragm, stretch those areas, when you activate the parasympathetic side of this vagus nerve, what happens is your blood pressure releases and lowers, your heart rate goes down, your big muscle relaxes, your digestion becomes more enhanced, and this amygdala, this almond-shaped part in your brain that is in charge of fear and anger, quiet down. And the front of our brain gets more blood, and it makes us even more social. Again, keep breathing in through your nose, out through your nose or your mouth. In breath soft, out breath belly. And each time again when you breathe like this, you're bringing air to your frontal lobe, calming the body, quieting the fear and anger, reminding the brain and stimulating the brain to become more thoughtful and have more capacity for decision making. It's the same area that actually helps us recognize people's faces and connects us to understand facial expression and speech. It tunes us into how people express and what people say, allows us to connect better with people. Keep breathing in and out. And as you breathe in and out, you're slowing down that breath. You're activating the relax and digest response, which counteracts the fight or flight. And when we breathe slow and deep like this, it also encourages our large muscles to relax, like the pelvis, the buttocks, the back muscles. So each time you're breathing deeper and slower, feel the muscle relax on your back, your legs, or your feet, or your chest, or your shoulders, or your neck, or your face or your head, and even feel the whole body relax. And each time as your mind wanders off, continue to encourage this process by saying the words soft and belly. And if thoughts come, let them come and go. Now I want you to gently bring your mind back and bring your eyes to open, maybe even invite a smile to your face, and become a bit more aware of the room around you. So how does that feel? That was about 5-6 minutes. Does it feel like 5-6 minutes? The effort it takes for you to activate and get to this calm state. So let's see what comes up, right? It's a big myth to think that when you are in this concentrated meditative state that you're supposed to be, there's an empty mind. But instead what happens is meditation is simply an awareness of everything while regulating our breath and supporting our body to respond with gentleness and safety to all the emotions that are coming up. So it's very natural for us to become irritated, for our mind to keep, wandering or going, or judgment coming in, or, experience come out. Turns out stress is not just the trigger that causes it. It's actually a way of reacting, and ability to respond to it and let it pass is what actually is the problem of stress for us and what causes problem. So this experience hopefully gives you the practice. Just by being deeply present and deeply relaxed, you're able to then take it to the next moment where your body learned that resilience and you can do it more often. So we're going to have an opportunity to do another one in a moment for you. So don't worry if you feel like you didn't get to that deep, relaxed space. So the antidote to stress, the first one is long, deep breathing. But there's something really interesting that people don't realize, especially when we've gone through stress over stress over stress, and we just become so heightened by stress and our body's just overwhelmed and can't cope anymore. And that's actually the fight or flight further version is called the freeze reaction. So what happens is when we go into this freeze is our body deal with this complete state of distress. When things just don't calm down, or when it's just so severe, our nervous system just shut down because we feel hopeless. There's no way out. What it ends up doing, as the body says, it's a final effort to deal with survival. So we're going to conserve energy, we're going to lower, so we're no longer angry or irritated or heightened. We're actually now depressed. We're conserving energy, we're dissociating, we're not moving forward, we're stuck. We can't think of new ways to get out of our problems. We procrastinate, right? Does that actually sound familiar, where you feel like now is your chance, but you just can't get out of certain patterns, or it's hard for you to change habits? This is a very common place I see a lot of my clients or patients go through, because it is not because it's not within your will, but the physiological response so strong in coping that we have to address that first. So what do, right? How often do you actually see an animal being chased, and at some point what happened is that they just completely calm down? I'm not going to play the video, but if you actually look at this picture here, this deer actually is in that freeze state, and it's completely playing dead, or the mouse would typically do that, and its heart rate would go completely low. And what happened is that if the predator is not hungry, it'll actually lose interest, and it actually, in this case, it ran away. And from running away, what it does is that then over time, the deer would stand up and it would shake itself up and once again get up and move off. And it has this really wonderful system pre-made for all these mammals that's capable of coming out of freeze state. However, human is a little bit different. Humans don't do that. We tend to get into that numb state, right? How often do you find yourself numbing yourself using Netflix, or people using alcohol or gambling or sugar, or or other habits, shopping, right? Where there's just these habits that we're not aware of, but it's just a way to help us cope so that we can get through that distress. And it's just really hard as a result to get out of that. So now I want to give you another tool, a very effective tool that we'll just spend 3 minutes to do. And it is actually one of the most invigorating experience for a lot of people who are in chronic stress. It's called shaking and dancing. And I think some of you in the audience have actually experienced this before. But what I want you to be able to do is just kind of get into this experience of shaking it out, and let the body just move and shake for 3 minutes. And I'll walk you through. But in doing so, I want you to just be gentle to yourself, since I don't know all of you. Give the permission for yourself to try. But if you guys have for some reason, right, if you have some injury or some limitations, do what feels right for you. No one needs to do the perfect or has the perfect prescription. So I want you to simply just try by standing up and getting into a stance where your legs are shoulder width apart and your feet are on the ground, your knees slightly bent, and then we're just going to do this exercise for 3 minutes. The idea is that when we're frozen, this antidote, what it does is it gets us out of that system and remind our body what's it like to actually be fluid and move. So we're going to do 3 minutes of that shaking. Be still afterwards for a minute, and I'll play some really nice music for about a minute for us to then dance and then allow that free movement. Okay? So loosen your jaw and your shoulders. And what I want you to do is just start by keeping your feet completely grounded, and don't move your feet, and just shake your knees. Listen to the sound and shake your hips. Now increase that movement a little bit and start shaking your belly, shaking your knees. Find your own rhythm, move it around. Soften and loosen your hands and your fingers. Keep your jaw loose during this time and keep breathing. Keep your eyes closed, no one's looking, right? No one's seeing you, but just do it like this is your chance to shake out of that free state. Keep breathing, nice deep breaths. And now increase that shaking a little bit more. Keep shaking. Now loosen your elbows, maybe move your hand a little bit more. Feel the chest, shift it, feel your ribs moving. When you're loosening all of this, sometimes emotions can be loosened and you can have feelings come up, and that's normal. Sometimes tears come up when I do it. Sometimes a boost of energy comes up. Release the thoughts in your brain for a moment and shake. Halfway done, you're doing a great job. Keep shaking. In this last minute, imagine this is your chance. If the rest of your day you're going to just let go of whatever's bothering you, or that stress that's just been holding in your shoulder that wouldn't let go, this is your chance. What would you do? How would you shake it out? This is what one of the oldest meditation is, expressive meditation. It's used as dancing, drumming, right? All right, the last 20 seconds. Give it your all. All right, now come hands to your side. Completely be still. Keep your eyes closed or maybe gazing downward. Be still completely for a minute. And let all the sensations come to your body and go. Simply become aware of where that might be. Maybe some numbness or some tingling or some warm feeling. Keep breathing and bringing air to all the areas. It's as if when your body's gone numb and it's reawakening, that's the tingling feeling. It's blood flowing to all the areas that it was previously not getting to. It's giving them the chance to move and circulate, bring oxygen to those areas. Now when I play this music, I want you to simply just dance to your own comfort. Close your eyes. You can lift your legs, lift your feet this time, and just move it whatever feels nice for you. Keep breathing. You can find music of your own to do. You're reintegrating the body. Again, no one's looking. This is your chance. Music is a great way for our body to connect to that innate creativity, the way our body naturally wants to move. Keep breathing. Come back, shake it out. Come back and sitting down. So that's a shortened version of it. Normally you can do 7 minutes, find an invigorating drumming beat for 7 minutes, be still for a minute, and then 3 minutes of music that feels good. Sometimes Three Little Birds or Happy, all these beautiful songs are wonderful that I use. The ones that I use today are licensed, so I'm able to use them and share them in the webinar. So how does that feel? Any questions so far? So again, it's one of the oldest form of meditation. You've seen it in drumming and dancing, so it's a beautiful way. But take a moment and just check in, right? How does your energy feel right now compared to you did before when you logged on today? So the last one I want to share with you, it's a very quick one. So grab a piece of paper, and what I want you to do is take a moment and draw one on each page, or 1 page, or 1, 2, and 3 in this 3 section of your paper. And I want you to take a moment, and it's a quick way for us to use imagery to actually connect to our subconscious. When we're relaxed, when our body's shaking, when we're out of that fight or flight or freeze state, our mind become more connected. And there's more information that sometimes can come in some form of imagery to share with us some wisdom or insight. And I want to bring you some of that practice to help you find more hope and resilience. So in that drawing, take a moment. What we're going to do is draw that 1, 2, and 3. And I want you to put down your pencil, close your eyes for a moment, and imagine yourself, for the first picture, imagine yourself a picture of yourself as you see yourself today. So close your eyes, take a moment and reflect on that. And then go ahead and open your eyes, and I want you to draw on that. Again, it's not about creating art. You're simply connecting to a deeper part of yourself. We're going to do a minute of that. If you find that you're stuck, close your eyes for a moment and open it, and even use your non-dominant hand to draw and see what comes up for you. And take a moment, look back at it, and then add details. If you have color, you can add coloring pencils. All right, begin wrapping up. And maybe put a few words there if you feel like you still have more. You can always finish the process later today. And now I want you to close your eyes, put down the pen. And this time I want you to think about if you were to draw yourself with your biggest problem or challenge. Reflect on that for a moment, and when you're ready, just open your eyes and begin drawing yourself with your biggest problems or challenge or issue right now. What's coming up for you? All right, begin wrapping up. Again, if you need to, take a look at the picture and see what does it, share with you. Write a few words down if it needs to help you remember. And once again, I want you to put your pen down and close your eyes. And this time reflect on yourself. What does it feel like when this problem or this challenge is resolved? It's gone. Reflect on that feeling of what is it with your problems resolved or gone. So when you're ready, open your eyes. Again, I want to invite you to quickly just draw. It's not about how pretty, how accurate. It's simply just creating a pathway to connect with that feeling to the drawing and for you to see. So draw yourself with your biggest problem solved. So if you're stuck, simply just take a breather. There's no right or wrong. And if it means that you just close your eyes and reconnect with that question, what do you look like, or draw yourself with your problem solved? And again, just let that little bit come in and just add to it and add to it. All right. So that was a really quick exercise, but what I want you to do is take a moment Again, finish up, write down a few words if it needs to help you prompt. And when you're done, simply lay them in front of you. Drawings can help you discover yourself, and this is a form of self-awareness practice through self-expression. So simply take a moment, and you can do this after the talk, but quickly look at it and see what are you seeing in the first drawing, and then the second drawing, and the third drawing, and what are the key words that show up for you. And lastly, what I want you to take a moment is, what does the third drawing tell you? How does it feel? What are some key elements? What's happening there? That the third drawing say about solving your biggest problem? And most importantly, what's the insight? Is there any answers that are surprising to you? What do you see when you look at the drawing? And so here it is, we're wrapping this up. So time flew, but I gave you 3 really concrete steps, right? The first one is really just starting to believe that your body is a big part of reacting to that stress. And you, as you become clear about that, you have the ability to shift how you cope with that stress, shift that stress, or take care of that stress. So the first 2 that I shared is the deep breathing and then the shaking and the dancing. And it gives you that tool to use your physiology, your physics, your body, your physical part to go back and counter the physiology of stress. But a lot of them can be hard when you don't feel hopeful or you don't know how it feels when we've gone through stress for so long. And so the drawing exercise, which is kind of a quick taste of this mind-body connection, is when you give a moment, when you deeply relax, you are able to actually see a little bit deeper and tap into the future, what it feels like, even though you don't know how. Sometimes simply remembering and knowing what it feels like, what that potential could feel like, that third picture could feel like, is a great way to help us rebuild and build the answer backwards. So hope that was helpful for you. And I want to kind of share, a quick story with you. Susie is someone that is, someone I've seen in the last few months, right? Someone who started to come to see me. She had her own dental clinic that she couldn't keep going because she just has severe chronic back pain, exhaustion, depression. She's starting to be diagnosed with thyroid issues and high blood sugar. And she started seeing me, but a big part actually, rather than going straight to doing the functional medicine piece, was actually regaining control and re-educating about a big part of what stress is to her and where they come from. And for her to clearly make her health her priority, helped her finally schedule time, get to the root cause, getting coaching, and then being able to start eating different, sleeping better, and resetting her inflammation and her metabolism is what really helped her. But ultimately, 6 months later now, 3 months, 6 months later, she's able to say no much better because she's prioritizing what's important, what's urgent, and finally building habits that are really key and important for her energy. So I'd like to be able to help you to be energized, empowered, embodied, and in vitality. That's my own story, and that's my own purpose and passion. So I want to share with you, I'm really excited that I have this 4 weeks Busy Women's Vitality Reset program I'm starting. It's launching in a month, in April 10th. And I want to be able to get you from empty to energized, frustrating, feeling empowered, from feeling scattered brain to focused, from overwhelmed to feeling ease, from feeling uncertain to confident, from feeling stuck to feeling effective. It's a practical step-by-step guide that I've used from all these years of working with patients and clients. And what it does, it takes into the metabolism piece from functional medicine, the mindset piece from coaching, the mind-body part that's so important to actually get us into helping with behavior changes. So there's 4 weeks each week. The first week you're going to be able to get yourself to set up for success, right? You understand your baseline, where you're at physically, and learning how to learn better as a high performer. How do you learn these new tools? How do you get and shift habits quickly? How do you get back into a better metabolism and hormones? Second week, help you get deeper into restoration, get back into deeply resting so that you're no longer in that fight or flight, so that you're no longer using and triggering the cortisol hormones. The third week gets you into revitalizing your inner systems, getting you eating the superfoods, the power foods, getting you into the power habits that detox your system so it's not cluttering your mitochondria or cluttering the cells. And ultimately, how do you bring this 4 weeks together, right? In the fourth week is how do you revitalize your environment so that it's something that's sustainable. It's not just a fad diet. It's just not a 30-day reset, retreat. It's not something that just happens and you forget and your body doesn't get benefits. It's something that it keeps building on itself. So shortly, kind of what you learn is dealing with stress, metabolism and hormones, how to reset them, clarity around skills and positive habits, and build back focus so that you can rewrite your life story that you want to see. So for those who are signing up, a big part of it, you're also going to get a clear diet plan. If, a lot of people don't know how to shop or don't feel like they know exactly the menu, you get a clean eating guide. You get weekly coaching, which is a big part of this. I'm launching this in a way that I want to build it in real time. So I'm taking a lot of your consideration, getting really intimate by coaching and answering questions and making it even more relevant for you. There'll be short videos, simple worksheets, and also a big part is the community support. Being able to be understanding you're not alone is a huge part of this program. And of course, you'll be able to get discount if you, from my online supplement store. People who've done these programs with me basically feel that they are living, they don't have to live with it anymore, right? They don't have to live with all that pain or the fatigue or the exhaustion. They have more vitality, they have more creativity, and so it's working for them. So key things starts in a month. Spots are limited. I'm keeping it very intimate. What you simply have to do, because I want to make sure it's a right fit for you, is that you have to sign up and we'll just have a quick discovery call. This is valued at about $1,200, but then I'm offering it at $497. And for those, I want to give a discount for the first 5 who sign up, a $100 discount for the first 5 who sign up. And so feel free, please, to go ahead and log on. I will go ahead and share this in the chat of the Calendly so that you can log on and schedule a 15-minute call. It's a quick one. My idea is I want to meet you. I want to make this personal. I want it to be the best product, the best value for you so that you can get the energy, you can get the reset, so that you can have a lifelong mindset that serves you. And I would look forward to talk to you.